This new Trump administration,
They're calling it the Avengers.
you're a fool if you're going to predict the outcome of that. He has Musk, he has RFK, Ramaswamy. These are formidable people. These aren't people who need the political power. Those are the people you surround yourself with if you're out on a quest. Putin will hold himself in check until Trump takes power, and that the war will come to a rapid end. I'm strapped in for the ride. My father, he died recently. Man with very high standards.
My deepest condolences.
I think I remember mostly reading with you.
That was so much fun.
I thought so.
I can see how moved you are. You say here he could be fearsome.
Here's, you always make me cry when you interview me.
Do you believe in God? Do you think there is a heaven?
The problem is there's a whole literature that Richard Dawkins knows nothing about. Go to hell. You're not stopping me.
Well, the last time I interviewed the world's most famous psychologist, he unpacked with incisive clarity the reasons why Americans should trust Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. Clearly, America agreed. And when it comes to Dr. Jordan Peterson, they often do. His books and tools have had a profound impact on 21st century culture. Now he's back to tackle the biggest subject of all in his new book, We Who Wrestle with God. The best-selling author, psychologist, and co-founder of the Peterson Academy joins me now. Jordan, great to have you back on Uncensored.
Hi, Pierce. Nice to see you.
I'm going to get to your book a little later, and it was utterly gripping, fascinating, challenging, all the things I'd expect from you. But before we move on and then come back to it, the reviews have been almost comical. Like, people love you or they hate you so much they want to rip you to pieces. Do you care? Or, because I get the same, we call it Marmite over here, which is a savoury thing you put on toast, which people either love or hate. Do you care, or do you just want people to be reacting?
Well, look, I mean, if you have any sense and people are paying attention to what you're doing, you're happy about the fact that they're paying attention to what you're doing. And then whether the attention is negative or positive, I suppose that's the next thing up on the agenda. And it's been a pattern through my life that people have that kind of reaction to what I'm doing, you know. And luckily in my actual life, day to day, in the real world, virtually everybody I meet is pleased with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so that's wonderful. The reviews, as you said, have been comical. I was reading the Times review today.
Oh my God.
It's like,
he hates
James
you.
Marriott, he just hates me. Oh my God, he just hates me, yeah.
And what really got him, what I loved about that review was he was clearly, it was eating away at him that the last time one of your books came out, he said something positive that you then used in the marketing for the book, which is obviously what we all do as authors. And he was so determined this time you couldn't do that he wanted to address that right off the top. Right off the top.
Yeah, well, I did do it, though. I did do it. I tweeted out something today that I culled from his review to make it look very positive. So I thought that was hilarious, because it wasn't easy, because there wasn't much in it that was positive, but I thought that would really rub him the wrong way.
Oh, it would enrage him. Well, we'll come back to the book. It's fascinating, the book, and I really want to get into that with you a little later. But I want to talk to you, just first of all, I want to play you a clip. This is from when you and I did an interview just after the start of the Russia invasion of Ukraine. Let's take a look at this. Do you think he will use a nuclear weapon?
If necessary, he'll use a tactical battlefield weapon.
Even if it starts World War III?
It won't, probably.
Why? Because we wouldn't respond?
What's in it for us?
If you let him do it and get away with it, where does that end? Then you are into a hit analogy.
Look, there's a lot. You can get yourself in a situation, no problem, where there's no good outcome.
I mean, here we are, Jordan. You know, we're 2 years later. We're in a stalemate. Putin is still rattling his nuclear weapons as a threatening, back-off, pretty menacing device. He's done that a few times and then not acted on it. But things are clearly very tense there. And there's a change coming in the presidency in America, which could be crucial as well. Where do you think we are with this war? Are we any better off or towards any kind of clarity or ending than we were when you and I spoke back then?
Well, I thought a week ago that the most likely outcome with regard to the outgoing Biden administration is that the military-industrial complex, who has a vested interest in seeing this war prolonged, would do something to provoke Russia into doing something that was unforgivable so that the war would have to continue. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly, now I could be wrong, but that seems to me to be exactly what's happened this week. I mean, Biden, in the dying embers of his administration, decided that it was okay for Ukraine to use medium to long-range missiles, which is a hell of a thing to do as an outgoing president. And now they've also proposed that it will be acceptable for Ukraine to use a certain kind of distributable landmine. And it's like, this is independent of what you think about the war, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, really, is that what you do? That's the steps you take as a dead duck president in the final months of your administration, eh? I think that's a little bit on the provocative side. Now, my sense is that Putin will hold himself in check until Trump takes power, and that the war will come to a relatively rapid end soon thereafter. I don't know. I'm not a foreign policy expert, and the world's a very unpredictable place. But if I had to bet, that's what I would bet on, and I think it's a highly probable outcome. So we'll see. I mean, everything's up in the air, obviously, Pierce. This new administration, this new Trump administration, God only knows what is going to happen with Musk involved and Vivek Ramaswamy and J.D. Vance and Mehmet Oz and RFK. I mean, you're a fool if you're going to predict the outcome of that.
What do you make of it? I mean, they're calling it the Avengers. What do you make of his picks? I mean, most of them are causing surprise. I'm not massively surprised because I think Trump tried the first time to do things in a more conventional way, and he felt that that just didn't work for him. He's now had 4 years out of office to really think about it, and he's come back in and he's just hit the ground with people that he thinks are going to be basically very loyal, and then they're going to be quite disruptive in the way they go about their business. And he thinks that kind of disruptive, blunt instrument is actually exactly what America needs right now.
Well, I think what's happened fundamentally is that these remarkable people that have aggregated themselves around Trump understand very thoroughly that we're in a time of unprecedented rate of change. And I think that's pretty obvious to everyone, and that there are immense opportunities awaiting us and immense perils. And they're sufficiently concerned about the perils and sufficiently compelled by the opportunities to stake themselves politically and to take the risk of doing so. You know, people like Musk in particular, but Ramaswamy's in the same boat, essentially. These aren't people, and many of the other people around Trump, these aren't people who need the political power. Right. They already have lives. They're already have immense influence. I mean, for Musk to involve himself in the Department of Governmental Efficiency is obviously something that's taking him away from many other things that he's highly concerned about. But he obviously believes that the time demands that kind of response. And I think he's right. And, you know, more power to them. I'm strapped in for the ride as far as I'm concerned. Thought that what happened around Trump in the last 2 months of the election was absolutely remarkable, that these people aggregated themselves around him, and we're in for unprecedented times. And like, the Americans are remarkable people, and you're always a fool to bet against them. And I think we have a good chance of seeing a revival of the American spirit that is unprecedented in our times.